You know, sometimes the things that keep you up at night aren't the monsters under the bed, but the ones you invite onto your screen. Alex was one of those people, smart, a little too curious, and completely hooked on true crime. She lived in a cramped apartment in Portland, the rain always tapping against the window like a nervous secret. Her real obsession wasn't the famous cold cases, though. It was a local phantom, a serial offender the police hadn't even named yet, but the online world had dubbed him the Weaver. The Weaver was meticulous. He didn't just kill, he left a signature, a specific, intricate knot tied with a fiber found at the scene. It wasn't widely known. It was the kind of detail only police or the truly obsessive knew. That's how Alex found the forum. It wasn't Reddit proper. It was an invite-only hidden thread operating under layers of encryption. They called themselves the Loom. It was a community of about 20 hyper-focused individuals, geeks, analysts, maybe a few ex-cops, all communicating using strange handles like needlepoint and shuttle. Alex's handle was Pattern Seeker. From the moment she joined, the atmosphere was different. These people weren't guessing. They were analyzing data that felt impossibly detailed. They had maps plotting the victimology with frightening precision. The Weaver is operating on a 3-week cycle, always targeting individuals with specific artistic backgrounds, Needlepoint posted one Tuesday night. The locations cluster around the 97202 zip code. Look for patterns in fiber supply houses. Alex felt a chill, even though she lived about 20 minutes away. She started contributing, offering her skills in graphic mapping to visualize the killer's movements. She was good at it. She was so engrossed, she barely noticed the hours melt away. But here's where things started to get spooky. The Loom began focusing intensely on the Weaver's psychological profile. They theorized the killer was highly organized, working a demanding job that required precision, and likely spent her off hours engaged in detailed, focused hobbies, maybe knitting, maybe model building. Alex, you see, was a freelance web designer. Her job was all about precision, and her main stress relief? Intricate, complex knitting projects. She loved the feel of the yarn, the mathematical rhythm of the stitches. It was a hobby she rarely talked about. The killer is meticulous about documentation, Warp Drive posted. He views the entire process as a craft project, recording details in a private journal. Alex tried to shake off the feeling of being watched. It's a general profile, she told herself. Lots of people are organized. Then came the real evidence bomb. Needlepoint uploaded a high-resolution scan of a tiny piece of paper found near one of the potential crime scenes, a discarded shopping list maybe. The police probably dismissed it, but the Loom was focused on the handwriting. Analyze the slant. Notice the specific way the capital T crosses and the loop on the lowercase r. It's highly distinctive. Alex zoomed in. She felt a cold dread settle in her stomach, heavy and immediate. That T, that looping R. She grabbed the nearest notepad, a cheap spiral notebook where she jotted down grocery lists and design ideas. She wrote the word trapper and compared the letters side by side on her screen. The blood drained from her face. It wasn't just similar, it was identical. The pressure, the angle, the specific way the crossbar on the T started high and ended low. It was her own distinct script. She slammed the laptop shut, gasping for air. No, it's a coincidence, a common style. But the forum didn't let up. They moved from handwriting to materials. The Weaver uses a specific rare thread, Shuttle posted, attaching photos of microscopic fibers. It's a variegated Egyptian cotton, dyed in a small batch by a specialist company in Vermont. Very expensive, very hard to source. Alex knew that thread. She knew it because she had spent an hour agonizing over whether to buy the expensive spool last month. She had it sitting in a small wooden box in her desk drawer, reserved for her most complicated projects. She pulled the drawer open, hands shaking. There it was, the exact spool, the unique mix of deep violet and forest green. Then, Warp Drive boosted the final piece of physical evidence, a blurry photo magnified hundreds of times, showing a custom-made tool, a specialized hook to create the weaver's signature knot. The handle was clearly visible, made of polished dark cherry wood, carved with a small, unique spiral pattern. Alex stared at the screen, tears blurring her vision. She didn't need to check her desk again. She knew that spiral pattern. She had carved it herself last year, customizing a standard craft hook to make it easier to grip during long sessions. It was sitting right next to the Egyptian cotton. The Forum was hunting a killer whose tools, materials, and handwriting were all currently residing in Alex's own small, cluttered bedroom. The terror wasn't just that she was connected to a killer. The terror was that the killer was so close she might have passed him on the street or even been targeted herself. Alex logged back into the loom, her fingers flying over the keyboard, desperate to tell them what she'd found, desperate to prove her innocence, to explain the terrifying coincidences. But as soon as she opened the thread, there was a new pinned post at the top. It was from Needlepoint. The post read, "Pattern Seeker, Alex, we need you to check the loose floorboard under your bookshelf now." Alex froze. There was a loose floorboard. She had covered it with a heavy rug years ago. Nobody knew about it. Nobody. She crawled to the bookshelf, heart hammering against her ribs, and scraped the rug back. She pried the board up, the wood groaning in protest. Underneath, wrapped in a linen cloth, was a heavy, leather-bound journal. It was brand new. Alex pulled it out and opened it. The handwriting inside was hers, unmistakable. The entries were meticulously detailed, discussing locations, fiber counts, and methodologies. But the dates? The dates weren't from the past, detailing the crimes the loom had been tracking. The dates were all in the future, starting next week. Alex flipped frantically to the current date. Today's entry was short and simple. The preparation is complete. The resources are gathered. The loom is close. She dropped the book. Her breath hitched. She wasn't tracking a killer from history. The loom was tracking a killer who hadn't started yet. And that killer was her future self. A new message popped up on her screen, not in the forum, but as a direct, private message from Needlepoint. Needlepoint. Alex, we are not police. We are not prosecutors. We are a collective operating outside of normal time constraints. We have been watching the timeline unfold for months. You are the Weaver. You become the Weaver next Tuesday. We are trying to stop you before the first knot is tied. Alex tried to type, but her hands were useless, shaking violently. Who are you? She wanted to scream. Needlepoint. We are the safety net. We know your intentions are dark. We know your potential for destruction. We gathered the evidence from your future self and fed it back to the present. We are the reason you found the forum, Alex. We needed you to see what you become. The screen was blinding, the words burning into her retina. She was destined to be a monster, and this group, this anonymous, spectral community, had manipulated her into uncovering her own terrible fate. She looked at the journal, then at the custom-carved hook, and finally at the innocent spool of variegated cotton, the instruments of her future crimes. "What do I do?" she whispered aloud, though no one was in the room. Needlepoint. You have two choices. Destroy the evidence and fight the future, or wait for us to arrive. The choice is yours, Alex. The timeline is now unstable. Wait for them to arrive? Who were they? Alex scrambled backward, hitting the wall. She grabbed the journal, intending to tear it, to burn it, to erase the proof of the darkness inside her.
Just as her fingers gripped the leather cover, she heard a sound that made her blood turn to ice. A key, turning slowly, deliberately in the lock of her front door. Alex lived alone. She never gave her key to anyone. She stared at the door, her heart about to explode from her chest. The click of the tumblers was loud in the sudden, absolute silence of the room. The door swung inward, casting a long, dark shadow across the polished floorboards of the entryway. Standing there, silhouetted against the dim hallway light, was a figure, tall, cloaked, impossible to identify. And in the figure's hand, clutched tightly, was a single spool of variegated Egyptian cotton. Pattern Seeker, the loom is here.